Just kidding.
Need one of those.
Hello.
What are those
Teleprompters?
yeah. I'll pretend I'm reading a prompt. My name is Dakota Ray Hebert, and welcome back to another episode of the Sit Down Podcast. Okay, now I'll do it for real.
We're going to use that one.
I'm probably going to use that.
My name is Dakota Ray Hebert, and welcome back to another episode of the Sit Down Podcast.
Heck yes! Welcome everybody at home and to those of you in house this week. Good to see you guys all. Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
We have a very special guest this week.
Very special.
Very special. It's a little off-brand, I guess you could say, because as you guys know, we always have musicians on the podcast, and we're going to switch it up this week a little bit with a comedian, our second comedian we've ever had on the program. So,
and before we start...
I was just about to say, so welcome, Dakota.
Thank you.
And before we start, we want you to like and subscribe to our channel. I'm Mark. This is Joel.
Yeah, for the new ones.
I am Dakota Ray Hebert.
So welcome.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you so much for coming all the way to Bellevue, Saskatchewan.
Yeah,
to
thank you
join
so
us
much for
this
having
week.
me.
Hell
Yay.
yeah, girl. We had I think if my memory is correct here, the first time that you and I met, which was very briefly, was in Saskatoon at a Just for Laughs live recording that you had performed at.
Yeah.
At the Capitol. I never even heard if that was rreleased yet.
It has been. I actually, thinking about it now, I have not even listened to. Well, I did listen to it, but I've forgot about it because it's not. I don't have it under my repertoire.
Right.
But it should be. I'm so sorry. Yeah. I'm so sorry. Just relax. We'll cut that. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Maybe. But yeah. No. That was a Saskatchewan album that they recorded for the Saskatchewan comedians. And yeah, I've got 3 tracks on it. And yeah, that would have been it. That was February 2nd.
Yeah, it was almost a year
ago.
ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah. So that was the first time
that was a good time.
that was my
fun.
introduction to you. So I'm honored that we got to chit-chat very briefly that night, but we have run into ourselves, a few more times since then. And since that performance, that live recording, I'm well aware that you went to Montreal and performed on the Just for Laughs stage. Mm-hmm. And you're currently out there performing and everything. So that's kind of what I want to talk about. I'm a big fan of comedy. All the big name comedians out there, whether
Dakota.
Yeah, like Dakota Ray. I'm just a huge fan of comedy, so this is a true honor for me to have you here in person. And I really want to get to know you a lot more.
Yeah.
From I probably got a million questions to ask you, but generally I want to go into this thinking of an origin story. I want to know what. I'll start with this first question.
Start at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning is. What drew you into comedy, and how did you follow that through to get where you are today?
I've always been a comedy geek, I think, a big comedy fan. When I was 5, my dad's a trucker, and so I would go on road trips with him, and I had their Walkman. And I stumbled upon their cassette tapes, and when I wasn't listening to Will Smith's Welcome to Miami, I was also listening to Jeff Foxworthy and Bill Cosby. And I make the joke that, half of those guys are still doing pretty good. But Jeff Foxworthy, I remember even listening to him when I was 12 and just thinking he was so funny. And Bill Cosby had a really wonderful storytelling ability. And I would listen to those in my bunk bed, giggling myself to sleep, listening to them. And so those would be my first my earliest influences, I guess, or my first taste of comedy.
Right.
And then as I got older, I actually posted in the subreddit Blender Years a picture of me in my headgear when I was 10 years old. And it's just me smiling big with this headgear strapped to my face. And I captioned it with like, had to wear this bad boy throughout grade 5, had to develop a personality fast, and in the caption it said, I'm now a stand-up comedian. And it kind of blew up. Like it got like over 8,000 likes and like, I don't know, hundreds of comments, and I was like, okay, sweet. I thought this would be a kind of a cop-out or like, you know, a hack. But, so that's another reason why I had to get funny. Because of that, because of my orthodontist. Shout out to Cabin and Remmer, based in Saskatchewan. Yeah, and from there, actually that same year, boy, I had it. I had headgear, and then my appendix, I had to get that removed in November, and it blew up mid-surgery, so I was kind of laid up for a bit longer than normal.
Oh, wow.
And
like
so,
just like this, like the last November.
Sorry, that same grade of headgear, grade 5. And so it was while I was recovering at home. Nothing was really on like Teletoon or YTV that I wanted to watch. And so I tuned into Comedy Central a lot. And that's when I fell in love with Comedy at Club 54 and Whose Line Is It Anyway? And just was like so enamored at like, oh my gosh, like people are just doing this. Like they just get to do this. It's like good in front of people and make them laugh. And so from there, I was really keen on like, how do I do that, you know? And grade 6 came, and I was reading this book, like I was a 5th grade comedian or whatever. Like it was like these like things, but I was still too shy, too scared. And then, you know, as I got older, more personality developed and more kind of humor. And I realized now I was kind of like working sets. Like when in high school, I'd like go to bed and like lay in bed and like, okay, if someone says this, then I could say like this, and I bet you that would get some laughs. So I bet you, okay, if someone says this, like it was like I was essentially working on jokes. I look back now, yeah. And then graduated, moved all over the place, and then landed in Saskatchewan. I was 21, and one of my best friends, Zoe, she was like trying to go do stand up. You know, first it was my grandma Sproxton and my auntie Tavia. They were very like, you should go do stand up, but it was very frightening. And then one night Zoe was, pushing me, just go, it's time, you got to do this, it's time. Because I'd been thinking about it for a while, and I was like, I'm not ready. And she said, you should do it. And I said, no. And I had a really bad day that day because I was a theater kid. And so like just broke essentially. But I couldn't afford anything. And I was just really mad. And she says, if you perform, you get a drink ticket. And I was like, I'll see you in 5. And so got in my car and cruised over to what was the Woods Ale House. And just in Saskatoon. And got on stage after this lovely poet. I think maybe it was even after Zoe. I can't remember the timeline of that. And then proceeded to talk about getting an IUD for 17 minutes. Because poets aren't like comedians. There's no red light saying, get off. Like, it's just, right. I guess, a respectful community of people who respect each other's time. I didn't know that. So eventually, blessed my friend Zoe. She was the one eventually, like, she literally was like, and I was like, oh, that's my time, Got off stage, and the bug bit me good.
Right.
And from there, it was a pretty wild trajectory. That was like September of 2014. And the next month I read like a diary of mine at a women's night kind of thing, a fundraiser. And then a month later, there was this Indigenous comic who was rolling through, and he at the time was a big deal. And people would put my name forth as an opener. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're gonna go open for Ryan, oh my goodness. And then we meet and we sit down, and he's like, so yeah, like how long have you been doing stand-up for? And I'm like, oh, like, I don't know, like 3 or 4 weeks, I guess. And you could just feel his like chest tighten. I tied my horse to this cart, this rookie. And then, you could see the wheels spinning. And then we go to do the show, and he gave me this really wonderful intro of like, sometimes people don't get stage time in their communities. And when I'm a part of them, I'd like to offer them stage time so that they can have stage time. Like, it was like this, and I was like, oh man, you were kind of lowballing me, but it was good. You always want them to think that you're going to be terrible. I don't know. But yeah, so that, and then after that, I was on like a hiatus until the following fall when I was on like a kids tour. I did kids theater. That's what I did in the daytime. And then at night, I would do comedy shows wherever community I was in. So that took me to Kelowna at one point. I was there for 2-3 weeks and really got in with the scene there.
Hell yeah.
And that was 2015 that fall. And then since then, it's just been like boom, 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 boom. Just a build, just a grind.
Freaking right. You ever wait in anticipation for your song to play on the radio, knowing that it's been requested so many times and you still can't get it on there? Check this out. Go to Funky Moose Radio, to the app, and scroll all the way down and hit the S button for the search engine. Type in the song that you want to listen to. Hey, Kemper! Kemper, come here, buddy. Come here. What's the name of that song that reminds you of My Singing Monsters that you like?
Semi-climactic.
And boom, your song is played.
See you later.
So yeah, go to Funky Moose Radio and request a song. Stay tuned and enjoy. So
Yeah.
so that opening, when you opened for that comedian the
Yeah.
one time, like how much material did you have at that point? Like, did you have like 10 minutes or 20 or?
I don't even know. Honestly, it's so funny. It's really lovely to be a vet in comedy, I guess. Because when you see newbies come to the scene, you're like, oh, like I remember that delusion, of like I could tour,
Yeah.
I've got for sure 20. I've got an hour, I'll just talk slow. That's a classic. I'll just talk slow or do some crowd work.
Yeah.
And I do that rookie delusion is so that's the fire, I think. Like that's where like, okay, yeah, I'm the funniest out here. I never repeat a joke. I could do this. I could take all these people down, and then it just like eventually those people kind of sparse out because they realize, oh, this is work. Oh, this is hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I'm not
it
immediately
doesn't come
famous.
easy. Yeah.
Like I'm not on posters yet. What the hell? It's been 2 months.
For sure.
Yeah.
Dude,
So how do you hone that? Like if I compare it to musicians, for example, if you want to play the guitar, you pick up a book and you can read along with, okay, if I do this, then this sound comes. But as a comedian, how do you hone that skill? You just write shit down and then hopefully someone laughs?
and
Yeah.
try it out on stage. And
I think really in the beginning of your career, you're kind of just throwing spaghetti at a wall
Yeah.
because you're like, I don't know what my style is. I don't know what my voice is. I don't know how to tell jokes really. Like I can tell a story in a funny way, but is it a joke?
Yep.
And so part of that building is what happens. At least what I found in Saskatoon is when you first do an open mic, you're gonna have a big table of your friends and family there to support you. And then the second time you do it, it's gonna be fewer. And the third and fourth time you do it, there's gonna be maybe 2 people. And then after that, you're on your own. But at that point, you've already developed a friendship with some of the other comedians in your community. So now you don't feel scared going out to open mics by yourself or like, oh,
Right.
no one's coming. Like you don't, you go, well, I'm gonna see this person at least. We've become friendly. We go hack darts. We know each other, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yep.
and so I think that's kind of how a community fosters and develops, is with that happening. And then after that, it's pretty much just experience and time, which is such a everything thing. But doing your time on stage teaches you, even like whether you consciously know it, but subconsciously, okay, this works or this doesn't, or there's something I can expand on here, or like this isn't a joke, or I'm not ready to tell this joke yet. Like I know that I can come back to this. But that just comes with time and experience. And eventually, yeah, you just kind of lob stuff at people and you're like, I know you're going to laugh at that. So, yeah.
Oh man, I love that so much.
Yeah.
I can't imagine just viewing the world as a comedian would. Like, are you constantly just trying to see the humor in like absolutely everything out there?
It's such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine.
I swear my phone's always out like, that's a bit. Or like I'll say something and someone else will be like, that's a bit. I'm like, oh my God, you're right. So
Like, yeah.
I think like it really does. Like I think just when you're an artist in any kind of fashion, you eat, sleep, and breathe the art craft that you're a
Absolutely.
part of,
Yeah.
because there's inspiration around you, and it's just putting in the work now. Okay, I've got this inspiration, now how do I create, how do I build? But then also it's important to just do nothing too. I've been doing a lot of nothing this month and I needed it. And that's been good because now I'm like excited about getting on stage again. I'm excited about performing. I'm excited about these jokes I'm working on. And but I think it really is. There's so much humor out there. And that's the kind of style of comedian I think I am, is kind of like a joyous, joyful, happy comedian.
Right.
I do have some spicy political takes and some other spicy takes on other stuff, but but I do have comedy friends who look for the negative in everything. Like, oh, you think this is great? Oh, you think this is great? You know, and so that's another shift. You know, like that's also in comedy. That's why comedy is so, I don't know, popular, because there's literally a demographic for every comic. And that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing, but every comic has a demographic. And
Agreed.
I think that's exciting, because then it means that you just have to put the work in and people will find you.
Mm-hmm.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very much like musicians having voice notes in their phone.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, well, I can imagine, especially like if you hear like a word, right? Like you hear like salacious and you're like, damn it, how do I use that in a set? You know, how do I use that in a song? Yeah, nefarious? Yeah, I love that word, you know?
I don't know what it means, but it sounds great.
Exactly, yeah. What rhymes with nefarious? You know, like, so I think like that's very similar. I think there's a lot of similar. The Venn diagram with musicians and comedians would be, just looking around, seeking things out, and talking with like-minded people, and hearing cool words.
Well, so you do dabble in, well, as we saw earlier tonight, that you performed a song that you've created there, and it's a doozy, that's for sure. It's kind of stuck in my head right now.
Yeah.
But I'm aware, like, open stages, I know there are some for musicians as well as comics, because Mark and I, we deal with a lot of musicians. To me, from my point of view, there's a lot more opportunities for musicians to perform at, whether they're open stages or just get a weekend gig or residency or whatever the case may be, particularly in Saskatoon. Is it similar for comics? Like, because I as much as I love comedy, I'm like, I follow a lot of American comics, not very many Canadian ones. Like, I'll follow like Kelly Taylor, Sugar Sammy is one I'm a big fan of as well. I think that
That's
might even be.
I've got some comics to throw your way.
But like, so I'm just unfamiliar with that world locally, and so I guess my question is there like a lot of opportunities for local comedians to be able to take that stage and work on the craft publicly?
I'd say Saskatoon, like I'm totally biased, but Saskatoon I think has the best amount of stage time for comedians, because we have a variety of open mics, a variety of shows, and like someone's booked on something that they need an opener for, or come middle for me, or come just be a part of this because I don't really want to do an hour, I want to do 15 minutes and just have a road trip, you know? And so with all of that happening, plus our stage time, our open mics, they're like 5 to 7 minutes. Whereas like in Vancouver or Toronto, like you get 5 to 7 minutes if you're a name and like, you know, you bump somebody and I just want to do this and get out of here, you know. But at a lot of open mics in big cities, you get 3 to 5 minutes. And if they don't know you, you're waiting until 11, 12, 1. That's actually one of my favorite memories was the summer of 2016. I moved to Toronto to chase comedy. And there was this one open mic at Sonic, Tuesdays at Sonic, and it started at 8 p.m. and it closed at 3 a.m. And like in the bar was like, okay, beat it, you know? Yeah. And when I first started going, I was at the 2:30 a.m. slot, you know? Like no one's there, someone's throwing up in the corner. And it was like, okay, this is the grind, baby, you know? And by the end of the summer, I had a goal by the end of the summer, to perform on Comedy Bar stage, and I started a room of my own. And by the skin of my teeth, before I left, I had done both those things, literally that Friday and Saturday, and then I moved on to Sunday. So, but prior to that, it was just, it was a weekly thing of like, you know, literally standing outside at 8:30 or 8 o'clock and just smoking cigarettes and having patio beers and like just mingling and meeting people. And then the week after that, it was more time to visit, and my time slot had moved up to 1, you know, and then eventually I was like, the runner, Van Dad, eventually, sometimes he would just be outside smoking and forget that he was hosting, or he would just be like, I'll be right up. And then one time I was like doing my set and I was like, okay, I'm done. But then Van Dad wasn't there. So I was like, okay, well, introducing your next comic. Like it was just a really fun community and really fun summer. But in terms of development and growth, like especially even through the pandemic, we had started, it's now called Lawn Chair Laughs, and it's still running. Shannon Mallory operates it now. But we started this program, essentially this company, to go into people's backyards and tell jokes because we need it to like, otherwise some of us, like, otherwise it sucks without comedy. Yep. So the rules at the time were, 10 people in a backyard, like, with distance and what have you. So we'd book these shows where you have 9 audience members in the yard and 1 comedian, and then we just cycle through, and the rest of us would be over the fence, like watching the show, like Wilson from Home Improvement, and then we just cycle through, and like that summer, that was 2020, and then the following summer, 2021, I was pregnant, and so I was just working on some pregnancy material, and like that was the first time Just for Laughs had called and was like, hey, we heard you're pregnant, would you like to come do a set for us? And I was like, you know how long I've been actively not getting pregnant? Because I thought it would ruin my career? You're telling me all I had to do this whole time was get pregnant. Yeah, I'm totally down. Like, how many kids can I have? Like, yeah, so, but that was because we were like working so much material. Yeah. Whereas like scenes like Toronto and Vancouver were at a complete standstill because there was a complete do not talk to anybody, touch anybody. You're all in these apartments. Yeah, It was really, so like that was, and there's a lot of advantages for being in those metropolises, but I'm totally biased. I think there's a huge advantage by being in the prairies, for sure. You have way more opportunities, I feel. And then way more opportunities to become a big fish, Like you have more people that are rooting for you or cheering you on. You don't feel as much of a competition, even if there isn't any competition in the bigger cities. It's always kind of, it feels like a competition. Right. So, yeah.
Hell yeah. Would you, so... Saskatoon specifically, how many hard hitters would you say are eligible to come out of Saskatoon?
I honestly think we have a lot, and like this is where I don't know. Like again, I get biased, right? Like I'm just like all of us, but there's a lot, and there's so much potential happening. And because of how fast everyone's growing and developing and honing their skills, it's really exciting to see like the opportunities that they're getting now. And it's just the comedy scene has been really flourishing. Like we have so many comics here that have albums now. And that's new, I feel like, like now we've got like Miles Morrison, Jodie Peters, of course, the Williamson twins, like the Williamson Bros from Perry Comedy. Like and there's other people recording albums or thinking about recording albums. And so I think it's really exciting. And then also we've got, I think it's a close neck and neck with Winnipeg, but I'm going to say for sure that we won it. But it's the highest per capita of Indigenous comedians too, which is exciting because like we're able to just pack up into a vehicle and like roll around to One Arrow. Like we've done a few shows at One Arrow here.
Well, yeah. Did you not? I think you just performed. Didn't you just perform One Arrow like a month or two ago?
No, we didn't. There was another group that did One Arrow.
Okay.
Yeah, but we've performed there a couple times. Once in May and once in June, I think.
Okay.
Or July. But yeah, and they've been wonderful supporters of us too.
Hell yeah. Shout out to you, One Arrow folk out there. Hell yeah. And in-house.
Yeah.
You betcha.
Right on. Hey.
No, that's freaking awesome. Have you ever thought of recording like a comedy album?
Yes, I have one out currently.
Do you? Mm-hmm. Get the hell out of town.
Yeah, I have my first album. It's called I'll Give You an Indian Act. And it's making fun of the Indian Act. It was the summer of 2021. It was when all of the kids were being dug up at residential schools, and I was really pissed off and just really feeling like angry and helpless, and like I want to burn a church down, but I can't. I'm too scared, I'm pregnant. It's just not a good look, And I like at the time, not now. It's just this is summer 2021. But I was like, and I had this flashback. There was, when I was 20 years old, I was working with this group, and our elder had said, this is the time of like when Harper wasn't government, and there was changes to like Bill C-31, and he was making changes to the Indian Act, and there was like the Idle No More happening, and a bunch of protests, and we were feeling, same thing, angry, helpless, useless, but like really, we're gonna turn over a car. And he was like, no. If you want to fight the war, you fight it with a pen. And he meant for us to go and become lawyers, but I had undiagnosed ADHD, and I was like, I'm not gonna be a lawyer. With what capacity? So then in that moment, though, I was like, yeah, still can't be a lawyer, but I am a comedian. Like, why don't I just make fun of the government? That'll make me feel better, right? And I did a little bit. So yeah, I started to work on doing research on the Indian Act, which is the driest subject form you can, like, it's just racist legislature. And I was like, okay, how do I make a joke about this? So for my first album, what a ridiculous challenge I put on myself, but it was really fun to do, and then to put together. And then I recorded it in Ottawa, because that's where the Indian Act was enacted, on April 12th of 2022. And on April 12th in 1876 is when it was enacted. So I wanted some bit layers there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, recorded that, and it's been doing really well. I keep getting sound exchange checks for it. So I'm like...
Well, I was thinking, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was thinking of this as well. So I know, like, on Sirius XM, I know how much a musician gets paid per spin on there.
Yeah.
And I listen to, like, like Raw Dog
Raw
Comedy,
Dog, yeah.
right, where they're posting, like, a couple minute clips of all the comedians up there. And I was always curious if comedians, like, I'll just use Mark Normand as an example. If you hear a comedy clip from Mark Normand on Raw Dog, is he getting the same amount of royalties as a musician would for a spin on the song?
Well, I think every channel is different. Like
they all have their own price.
Like from Blue Collar to Raw Dog to...
Yeah, because the music channels, if you have, like, a country... a popular country channel, they pay more because they have more listeners than, for example, a smaller indigenous channel. Because we've compared it one time, I don't know if you remember, but it was the country channel paid more than the indigenous country channel or something. I don't know exactly what it was, but because it's a smaller channel, they get paid less. Because they have fewer listeners. But I would assume that comedy would be the same. Like, you get paid royalties on the work you do.
Yeah.
So do you like, can somebody hear a clip of your recording, like, on Sirius XM?
Yeah.
Like on which
I don't even know. I should ask. I honestly,
you're just taking in the
you're talking
checks,
this, and I'm like, you know what? Am I on Raw Dog or, like, on Canadiana, or is that even? I have no idea. But people are listening to it. Like, it's like it's wild. Because that launched October 2022. And, like, like, Sound Exchange was like, "You did a good job. Here you go." And I'm
Hell
like,
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it's nuts. And so I'm like, oh my gosh, like, I'm a friggin' comedian.
Dude, you're a damn good one. You're a good one too. I'm also curious, and maybe you have an answer for this, maybe not. But so you release the album.
Yeah.
I'm very curious if that's similar to how a musician would release their music, like with licensing and all that kind of stuff. Like, can you walk me through a little bit of what your process was when you released that album?
Like, kind of, but no, because I also don't understand it. My label is Howl and Roar, and they're wonderful. And Alison Dorr is the owner, and so she holds my hand through everything. And, like, the first album, like, I had no idea what I was doing, and so it was like, I just know, okay, I record here, I pick out some album art, and this is what the tracks are. And then we release, like, it was like kind of, and then I wanted to get like CDs and, like, vinyl and pre-order, but then it was just kind of like, because I wasn't prepared,
right?
Because at the time, undiagnosed ADHD, so I was like, I'll do it later, and then I was like, oh my god, later was yesterday, and so putting it all together, it just kind of came out. So it was like, okay, the album dropped on, like, virtually, like, online, Spotify, streaming, whatever, and then the CDs came. And then I didn't get the vinyl until, I think, like, August or September. But I've been selling a few of those. So this time, I just recorded my second album, Trailer Treasure. That was here in Saskatoon, actually, or in Saskatoon at 9 Mile Brewery. And we also recorded it, so we're hoping to put it into a special or to shop around to producers to be like, "See, look, I can do a special." And so that's the next thing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be prepared this time around where, okay, we've got everything lined up. This is what it sounds like. Perfect. Sounds great. We've got the album art. Okay, let's go ahead and order the vinyl and the CDs now. Like, I know CDs are dead technology, but I'm like, I'm a hillbilly. I want something
tangible.
That's not $50 for people, you know? So get some of those ordered and then have the pre-sale and then drop it. So like a professional musician, comedian person would do. And so that's what I'm excited for. I mean, it's all learning, right? And just like, okay, dust yourself off. How can this be more efficient in the future?
The Sit Down Podcast is brought to you by Funky Moose Records. Funky Moose Records is an online record store. We sell new and used vinyl records, storage solutions like inner and outer sleeves, and cleaning supplies from, for example, Groove Washer. We also sell turntables from Audio Technica and speakers by Kanto. And if you're in the market for a record, how about this one? The Northern Royals EP. It is on gold splatter vinyl, and it's available at funkymooserecords.ca. Have you considered digital downloads? Selling digital downloads?
But is that not like the same thing as Apple Music and downloading it or buying it from Bandcamp?
But then you have to pay Bandcamp and Apple Music.
Yeah, this
royalty.
way they'd be purchasing it right from you.
They buy it from me?
Yeah, why not?
Oh my gosh.
So
I have not considered that because I did not know it was a thing, actually.
It's something we've
Where's
been...
my notepad?
We'll talk about it after.
Yeah, we can talk about it off camera for sure. But yeah, I think that's a good idea, and we've been telling that to a few people lately is like, you know, instead of, just upload them to your website and sell them from your website directly.
Yeah.
And then you can take all the money.
Instead of Apple.
Percentage. Yeah.
Like, I already give them so much money. Oh my God, Apple, let me have it. Okay.
I mean, you still could put it there too.
Streaming.
People would still
I
purchase it there. But if you have it available where the client or fan can buy
that's
it right
freaking
from
way
you.
better than CDs. Like, vinyl at least is like cool. Like, no one has CD players anymore because they scratch. So like,
I do in my truck.
Well, okay, would you want a CD?
I've helped musicians make CDs too.
Yeah?
Well, yeah, because it's a nice piece of merchandise to have at a show.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, for example...
It's fairly cheap.
Yeah, if you buy the CD... If I buy a CD off of you for $10... And it costs you $2 to make it, like, your profit margin there is crazy.
Yeah.
Whether I have a CD player or not only did I purchase a ticket to support you in that way, but I'm, like... furthering my support.
Yeah, that's exactly
having something tangible to take home with me.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And I think that's the main reason why a lot of people buy CDs because to support the artist. They probably never play it. They just make it a coaster. I
miss my 07 Chevy Cobalt SS because it had like a 7-disc changer in it, and so before. League of Wolves.
Was the disc changer in the cab, or did
no?
You have
it was in
trunk?
the cab. It was not a it was not a trunk one. It was like I could pop this one out and put a new one in. But I would listen to League of Wolves a lot. But they changed their
shout out to League of Wolves.
But you can't the CD that I had you can't get online anymore. Like they shifted their sound, I think, and so. Yep. But I'm like, damn it, bring back Ariella. That was such a good song. And then Classy Chassis too, same thing. Like they shifted their sound a bit. So the CD that I had, I can't get. And I'm like, what happened to Manhattan Service Road? Like I just like, there's so many things that I'm like, this is why I wanted a CD. And like even, I mean, I played Black Parade into the ground too. Like CDs are just like so much fun. I think, or they remind me of. It's a nostalgia thing. So. I think vinyls now, it's going to be CDs again soon.
I think CDs are going to make their way back somehow, some way. Similar to vinyl never really left.
Just physical media in general, I think, because you own a piece of work.
I own this, and I don't have to pay anybody for it. I already did, and it's mine forever.
And if Apple or a label decides, well, we'll take this down for now, then you can't listen to it.
Yeah.
But I still have the CD.
Yeah, guess what? I got my trunk, and it's full of stuff. Come buy it.
Freaking rights. So you currently have one vinyl, and you're working on your next one right now. I'm going to tell you right now, I will purchase one of each of those. I would love to get my hands on a copy of that. Had I known you
On
had
the- on the
vinyl,
record?
I would have said just bring some.
The record too?
Yeah, I want the vinyl.
So when
Yeah.
are you getting that turntable?
Yeah, dude, since we've been doing this, I've got a gnarly collection of vinyl records, and I
Yeah.
have no way to play them.
We-
But it's like, you know, they're personal to me because these are artists that we've either had on the show or I've gotten to meet and become friends with and stuff. So like, hell yeah, dude, I'll get a copy of that.
Case in
Yeah.
point, people buy
Yeah.
physical media
Yeah.
to support the artist.
Well, and it's a nice piece of art as well too.
They're really
Like-
pretty. They're really lovely. We don't have a record player, and I'm like, but I want to buy vinyl. So, yeah, I feel that. Well, there was a discussion I was having with some theater friends too. Is just like in terms of like our reality that we're living in now, where everything is subscription this, subscription
Yeah.
that,
Yep.
and even like watching on TV or like TikTok, like everything's so filtered and fraudulent. There many things are that like theater, and I think that's why stand-up is. I think it feels like there's a resurgence or something. People want to go see live comedy. People want to go see live music. People want to see live theater.
Yes.
Because it's real humans.
Yeah.
I know you're
Yeah.
real, and I know these people are real, and it feels good to be in real world instead of wondering if what I'm seeing is if this is real. Is this a real person?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a difference that made me think of a difference between music and comedy is a lot of I think every live comedy show I've ever went to go see, like you're not allowed to have your phone on in those. Like that's material that the artists are currently working on. It's not like they're filming a special or anything. So like look at what happened to Louis C.K. there when his content got leaked. Like he had to scrap that whole hour that he had been working on for how long because somebody just recorded it and released it, right? I think there should be something similar with music. I think if you go to a live concert, you shouldn't be able to have your phone on.
Jack White has that.
Where
If
you
you-
shut your phone off.
if you bring your
when
phone in.
I agree
get
with it
booted?
100%. I think that's a good call.
Well, there's some bigger venues with larger comedians, big name comedians, where they give you like a phone pocket or something like
Yeah.
that, or they take your phone and put it. And I think like that's why don't we just have that at all of these venues? Because there's nothing worse than when you're trying to enjoy a show or something and there's just a phone and like for what? I can't wait to see these blurry. Videos of you screaming.
Yeah, these amateur
I have
recordings.
I love this so much.
I have so many videos on my phone from live performances.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's eating up the space now.
When I was 16 and I went and saw Headley and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm here watching Jacob Hogarth. But also like, I was so just like,
Right?
and like, for who is this for? Because it's not for me later either. I'm going to be embarrassed about my behavior. Like, what am I recording?
Oh, I get it completely. Like a lot of the, like I think I post a lot of like friends and other artists that I've seen live, but I always ask their permission before I put it out there. I can't think of a time I've posted somebody performing where they didn't sign off on it. Or if anything, I'll just send it to them and like, this is what I got. Do what you want with it. Because like, I'm not a professional recorder, right?
Yeah.
I'm just getting a freaking cell phone video from the crowd. That's like all, like you said, distorted and wavy and everything. And it sounds like shit. And I'm like, you can do what you want with it, right?
It's like how many people, and I'm guilty of this, but when there's a full moon and you're like, wow, it's a big full moon. And you get your phone out and you're like, I'm going to work on my skills. Like, what is just
I
like...
actually have a couple from
From
a couple nights ago. And it's like, that's useless.
Like I want the memory of it, but I don't want to have to get a good camera out.
Freaking rights, man.
Today's my 16th birthday and I'm going out to celebrate. Got my boyfriend beside me and he's making me a couple drinks. Oh, it feels so good to be older. But now that alcohol is making me that much bolder, we go back to his parents' place, where he tells me he loves me to my face. Things get heated up so fast. Next thing you know, we're boning and then blast when I realize to my demise, holy shit, the condom broke. and I think I'm gonna be a teenage mom. Holy shit, the condom broke when he tells me he wasn't wearing one all along, but it's alright with me. I'll just sign that contract with MTV. Bringing in a customer at the local Dairy Queen. My water broke, my coworker said, ew, so mean. I'm being rushed to the hospital, giving birth my luck, but the baby's coming super fast, it hurts and fuck! When I realized to my demise, holy shit, the condom broke, and now I'm definitely a teenage mom. Holy shit, the condom broke. Oh yeah, that's right, he wasn't wearing one all along, but it's alright with me, because I signed that contract with MTV. My friends go out to movies and I have to stay home. Right now I really wish I'd bought that contraceptive foam. 'Cause holy shit, the condom broke, and now I'm stuck being a teenage mom. Holy shit, the condom broke. Oh yeah, that's right. He wasn't wearing one all along, but it's alright with me. I mean, I guess it's just fine with me. I have no other choice, you see, because I signed that contract with MTV. Homework wasn't even this hard.
Do you ever hear people ask you, hey, tell a joke?
Yeah.
Is that frustrating?
Yeah.
It
Oh, you're a
can-
comedian? Say something
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, do
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I do get that. And it's kind of, at first it'd be like, I don't know, because I guess it is time and place. It depends when and where, but it can be frustrating because I'm like, well, can you change my oil for free then? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is what I do
exactly.
for a living. So,
Yeah.
you know.
It's like walking up to a musician. Hey, can you play a song for me?
Yeah,
I can,
do
I
it.
guess.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, there was one time I was going through. It was just after the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, and I was going through security, and my badge kind of fell out of my backpack, and the security agent was just like, "Oh, hey, I see that. Tell me a joke." And I'm like, "This is such a Is this not like a power dynamic thing here? Like what happens if it's not a good joke? Like, are you gonna be mad at me?
Yeah,
Well,
right.
do I get to go home? Like, if it's
Can
a
I
bad
still
joke?
go in if it's a bad
Yeah,
joke? Yeah.
like this is okay. I'll tell you what. Like it was, power dynamic. So yeah, that does happen. Not near as much because I think. I don't know. I don't go out as much anymore, so I don't get that, I guess. Not near as much, but also the people that I do hang out with know that it's like my job. So
Freaking right.
yeah.
So, okay, before, I'm
Well,
not sure how much time we've got left here,
yeah.
too. So,
I was just gonna jump in on that too. Actually, with the people that I hang around with, just get it for free because I'm always like, I'm telling, here's what happened in my day. So yeah.
okay, we know that you performed tell us a little bit about Montreal
Okay.
and that experience.
So this year, 2023, this was pretty explosive. This was a pretty crazy year. It was a very exciting year, I should say. Because it started with January we were in Mexico for the month. That was really nice. Came back home, and then I've recorded that recording for Just for Laughs. It's at Capitol. And then from there, I went to Just for Laughs Vancouver, middle of February and March. My husband and I, Dylan J. Williamson of Williamson Bros, we went on tour. We packed up our baby and went on tour for a month. Started in Saskatchewan, North Battleford, Meadow Lake, and went all the way to Victoria, Campbell River, and even as far up as Whitehorse.
Oh, shit.
3 provinces, 1 territory, and 1 month, and with a baby. And would we ever do it again? Not like that. We'd spaced it out. But that was really exciting. But it was because we're like, okay, like let's go on a road trip to Vancouver instead. Let's do a tour. That'd be so fun. And so we got there, and so I'm part of the festival that Just for Laughs Vancouver, and I recorded the new wave of stand-up, and that's on CBC Gem. So if you're watching this, you can check out CBC Gem, and I'm on season 3. You type my name in the search bar.
Or just watch all of them.
Or just watch all of them. Honestly, watch all of them. Everyone's so funny, and then you'll have your favorite Canadian comics. But he recorded that, and then that was in February. March, there was something, March, April, oh gosh, it's just all blended together. But then the TV show I was on, Shelved, on CTV, that started launching in March, actually. Yeah, we finished our tour beginning of March, got home, unpacked, and then Dylan and I flew with the baby to Toronto for the night to celebrate the opening of Shelved. And then the next day flew back home, and we're like, okay, now we're home, right? So then it just started every week. Yeah, a new episode came out, and then just a bunch. It was just like wild. Just everything that I did in 2022 just started popping, and then yeah, I got the phone call saying like, hey, Neil Bansal, who books the Canadian talent for Just for Laughs, wants to have a phone call, and I'm like, okay. So get on the phone, and yeah, he invited me to do Just for Laughs New Faces in Montreal, which is the OG festival, and that's the big one that you want to be on. That's the show, and so that was very exciting and squealy. And of course, I said yes. And so got prepared to do that. And then in September, I was invited to Just for Laughs Toronto. And so I make the joke that I closed my Just for Laughs Canada rings, my Thanos rings. Like I got all 3 Just for Laughs festivals this year. And I was so excited. So yeah, that was so exhilarating. And now it's just been like, okay, take a breather, because it was like it's been a really like, it was great, nuts year. Yeah, like it's just been really just like, where am I? Which room is my hotel room again? Because that's also when you're on the road a lot, you don't think about it, but you're like, okay, no, wait, I'm not in 1208 this time, right? I'm in 14.
Yeah, all those hallways.
They
start
all just
looking the same.
It's just The Shining, and all the cars are the same, and you're like, like is this dementia? Like it's just like you just panic, like oh no, it's happening already, and yeah, so there's just a lot of that. So just coming home. And to sit even here and just to like, fuck shit, this was an awesome year. It feels good to reflect, because when you can't see, it was in the forest through the trees or whatever, like it honestly was just, this was too busy. My mind did not know what to do with anything. Right. And so then getting home and like unpacking, doing laundry, and then putting clothes back into my dresser again. Like it made me feel like a human. Like I was like, oh, I'm back, baby.
And it's like I just did all that. Like, holy shit. yeah. Freaking right.
Yeah.
So you
all right there?
Bless you.
Let's try it again. So that TV show that you mentioned, Shelved. Mm-hmm. What is that? Because
Shelved.
We don't have TV, so.
It's on Crave now.
Okay.
And actually you can see me on Canada Roast Battles of Canada, on Crave as well. I'm on season 3. I roast 2 episodes or 2 times, so check that out if you're on Crave. But yeah, it's on Crave now. It was on CTV, and it's like a workplace comedy. It takes place in Toronto. I play a spicy librarian amongst other librarians, and I got that role because I was hired on as a punch-up writer for the script. So I was writing jokes and stuff in it.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, so I was originally hired to do that because they had this Indigenous librarian, Jack. And I was like, okay, do we know like what kind of Indigenous she is though? Because I just want to make sure I'm not writing just like pan-native jokes. And they said, actually, we don't know yet. It depends on who plays her. And I was like, okay, can I make her Dene? And like, what if she's from Meadow Lake, Saskatchewan, and like what if her name's Jack, but what if her like close friends call her Dak or something? Like what, like essentially like we had the joke that like I wrote myself in.
Oh hell.
And then it was like, can I audition for this please? And then the showrunner Anthony, like he invited me on, and it was so squealy, like holy crap, we got a TV show. So
freaking right.
They put us up in this like bougie condo in Toronto, me, my sweetheart and baby, and I just like shot there for 6 weeks in the summer of 2022. And then just had to sit and wait before it aired. And now it's aired. And it's like, I got recognized. Actually, I was telling my sister-in-law this. I went to the library very hungover one time. Like, just like gross and like sweaty and like smelling like cigarettes. And like, I went to pick up my books. And the sweet librarian there was like, I know you from somewhere. And I was like, oh no. And she was like, I really like Shelved. I just wanted to say I really like Shelved. And I'm like, oh, thank you, you know, and like laughing because my books are like 12 months to $1 million and self-care for adult children of emotionally immature parents. Like, it's like, just like, thank you, I'm fine, you know.
Heck yeah.
I like leaving when, so yeah, that's been trippy. That's been pretty fun.
No doubt.
Awesome.
Hell yeah. So I think we should be able to put the links to those in the description of this, hey?
Somehow, yeah.
Even if we just have like a link to Crave
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah.
Crave, CBC Gem, and yeah, because I mean, honestly, like it sounds kind of, I don't know, if you type in Dakota Ray Hebert on Crave, like Run Woman Run comes up, Shelved comes up, Rose Petals Canada should come up, and now I think Acting Good Season 2 will come up. So like, I got busy last year.
Right.
Yeah, and then same with CBC Gem. It'll be Run the Burbs, Comedy Night with Rick Mercer. Whoa, that was trippy. And meeting Rick Mercer. Okay, anyways, and then
Yeah,
and then
he's
New
a
Wave
gem.
stand-up.
Mercer Report.
Mercer Report,
Yeah.
yeah. That's where I ended up doing. So when I was very pregnant, and they had me perform on that show, and that was really exciting. But also like I was only like 6 months pregnant, but I looked full term because of how much amniotic fluid I was carrying, and so
Right.
everyone was like, "Whoa, when are you gonna burst?" And I'm like, "He's in there for like 3 more months." And you're like, I don't know, get him out. But yeah, so that was fun, and I'm wearing really high heels in the episode. Or when I do my stand-up, because I think that's nothing funnier than a big old pregnant lady
In high heels.
In high heels, yeah.
Hell
To
yeah.
take.
That actually made me think of another question that I want to address in this show too. Is I have to ask you about your last name.
Yes.
So is it Hebert or Williamson?
Okay, it is Williamson on Facebook.
Oh, I'm pounding on the desk.
Is it? The people want to know. They demand to know. I changed it on Facebook because that was going to appease the older folks in my life. That would be really kind of like, you know what I mean? You didn't change it legally. I just don't have the time or the energy.
Right.
It's a lot of work, forms and paperwork, undiagnosed at the time. And so I was like, I'll just change it where it matters to them,
Right.
which is on Facebook. My stage name and my legal name is Dakota Ray Hebert.
Hebert.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I ended up confusing myself too when I like
know.
that one little post that
That's pretty easy
announcement
to
I
do.
did too. After I said Hebert, then I saw when I went to tag you in it, it was Williamson, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, did I just F that up?
No, yeah.
But then I was like, I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah,
and
I've
then
got
I had a few people ask
Facebook
me.
page that says Dakota Ray Hebert, and then my profile is Dakota Ray Williamson. And so that's the difference. I try to keep the,
All right.
yeah, it's like the personal life, and then like, here's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Very
Hell
cool.
yeah. No, I love that. We're going to do our very best, actually, with your help. We'll get, like, all those links.
Yeah.
And we can add those in the description here. We are going to wrap this up, though. And, frick, man, I don't even think we scratched the surface
No,
here.
I'll have to come back out, because this
Yes.
is lots of fun.
Yes, please
yeah.
do.
Please promise me that you will come back this year, because I want this to be a
Absolutely,
a
yeah. Because
continuous
I
thing
got so
here.
much intel. Like, I'll be like, okay, here's what I've learned about comedy now.
Yeah,
You
no
know?
doubt.
Here's
And-
what I've learned, you guys.
So
Oh,
if,
man.
if you can tell the people at home and your camera where they can find you on social media or website or whatever.
Where they can
Yes.
get your vinyl.
Yep.
Yeah. So you can find me on Instagram. It's at Dakota_Raymond. On Facebook, Dakota Ray Hebert, Hebert. And I got a website, www.dakotaray.ca. Oh, it rhymes. And on YouTube, Dakota Ray Hebert as well. And I don't have TikTok. Someone has made me a profile, which is really kind of them, but I don't, that's not me.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. So thank
Yay.
you. Thank you, but stop. Please. Yeah.
Well, Dakota, we truly appreciate you. I'm a huge fan of yours. And now that you've been on the show, you are part of this family that we've created. You are a member of the herd here, so the door's wide open anytime.
I love it. I love it. A member of the herd. I'm happy to be a funky moose. Thank you very much.
Hell yeah, thank you. Please come back anytime you want to, or even just to shoot the shit. We don't even have to record it. If you just want to come hang out,
love
we can
it.
do that too.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
We respect the shit out of you. Thank you so much.
Thank
you
you.
for those in-house.
Yes.
And for
Thank
those
you.
of you at home, thanks for tuning in.
See you next week.
We'll see you guys next week.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Woo!
Boom.
That
The
was
end.
so fun.